That was the most kind introduction. I have to pay the promised 50 euros now. It was really fantastic.
100.
No, 100 Deutsche Mark. So we have to be precise. Hello, everyone. I am Jovan Jelovac. I am here in the position of founder and curator of Belgrade Design Week, and I was, to my big surprise, asked to deliver a speech about design and about the creative industries to a group of bankers, as they told me, venture capitalists and angel investors. Well, I'll tell you the truth. If you talk about design and creativity and the creative industries in front of an audience of such tough business people like normally, especially, well, almost 100% in case of bankers, it often equals to, you know, ancient rituals of shamanism. And this kind of shamanic rituals were best described by the shamanic protomaster himself, the famous Joseph Beuys, who did the famous performance in 1968 in Düsseldorf, where I grew up, which was called How to Explain Design to a Dead Hair. And this was also the topic of the presentation today. At his performance, Joseph Beuys was sitting in a very famous gallery for 3 hours, completely painted in honey and gold, holding a dead hair, as you can see in his hands. And the photograph of this performance, and this is where it gets interesting to venture capitalists and angel investors and investors, is being described by the biggest amount of art critics today as the new Mona Lisa of the 20th century. A small direct nod to investors in this room. In 1951, when Beuys sold his first piece of art, it was sold for the equivalent of 10 euros. Since his death, at auction, the top price paid for a Beuys work is 1 million euros. It's the hammer price at the end of an auction, for example, for a very concrete bronze sculpture. So, talking about the return of investment and talking about what creativity and design can do for you guys as well. And I'll tell you what, I'm not the only one who's using this example as a citation very often. There was Mr. Bean as well, who tried to explain it that way. Unfortunately, I'm not a shaman, and unlike Mr. Beuys, my works will hardly ever fetch the $1 million or euro price tag. I'm happy also to have passed the 10 euro tag so far. So rather than trying to discover the meaning of life and the meaning of art and the meaning of design here with you, what I was really planning was to deliver a speech about what I really know, and that's my own venture capital investment, baby. It's called Belgrade Design Week. Belgrade Design Week actually does, as a whole entity, serve as a vehicle to find that truth. But not from me, but delivered through voices of hundreds and hundreds of leading creative minds of the 21st century that each year descend one time, 1 week in a year to Belgrade. So I have decided that the best thing for this audience is actually to transport you to the world of Belgrade Design Week, to the world of the spectacle, how we create it, and together we can jointly search for answers like what is the meaning, what is the culture, what is the function, and maybe even what is the future of design. And talking about the spectacle, we believe that the future of design and also the future of business lays precisely in relationships and audiences, like yours here today. Let's come back to the core of the spectacle, the story. Only this year, why did Facebook buy Instagram for $1 billion US? For storytelling. There is no other reason. Storytelling is what makes social networks stick. In case of social media, photos are the most powerful ingredient in telling these stories. This of course brings us back to conferences, festivals, labs, places of encounter and sharing, places of storytelling. Places like your conference now in Belgrade, which we really are very proud of. You have done a fantastic job, everybody. Thank you very much for inviting us. And places like Belgrade Design Week. A lot of people say Belgrade Design Week is a very special place on earth. Top international media say that, like Financial Times, International Herald Tribune, The Guardian, leading global lecturers, curators, business people, innovators from all over the world. So what's so special about it? Let me ask you first. How many of you have actually ever been to Belgrade Design Week, to the conference or to any related event, openings, exhibitions? Okay, so about 10 people. That's very nice, thank you. Let me share with you a short movie to the uninitiated ones, what it is about. But why is Belgrade Design Week so important today, here in Southeast Europe? Or as our kind announcer said, as the central place for creative people meeting in a 100 million people region of ex-Yugoslavia and the countries around. Serbia today, as you know, is a battered country, stupidified by 20 years of pretty dramatic developments, and this is really, in the same time, also the main reason why we created Belgrade Design Week. We want to enable a society of knowledge in the future, but by first introducing the culture of knowledge, of exchange, of global expertise, of professionalism and dialogue. So to many countries, design festivals are about liaisons, about presentations, maybe even about prestige, because there are more than 80 design weeks today in the world. But for us, it's serious business. It's about survival, and in the case of Serbia, in my humble opinion, it's about life or death. Then again, this is probably why we don't take it so seriously after all, because they say that the city of Berlin was the best party place in the world during the serious Cold War situation, and they say that today about Tel Aviv, for example, during a serious situation they have almost each year. So to let you into the secrets of the success of Belgrade Design Week, I will start from the beginning, from me. I have been very successful in the past 20 years in the branding business, and at one point in my career, working basically abroad, I had to make a decision how I'm going to best share this kind of knowledge and this kind of newly created influence from all over the world with my hometown, with where I come from. And to my surprise, I found a lot of people who have exactly the same problem, who are relatively successful and relatively, I would say, accomplished abroad, but wanted to invest really something into where they came from. And I remember the story that I listened to during the summer when in the happier times of Yugoslavia, we grew up in Dubrovnik, a beautiful city-side port, of those ancient captains from Dubrovnik who all had one task when they came back from their sailings, to bring back one fantastic, exotic, new plant that was never before in Dubrovnik. When they came, before actually getting into the old port, they had to plant this new plant into a small tiny island in front of the city of Dubrovnik. This is today the place of this absolutely fantastic, wild, natural botanical garden called Lokrum. And basically what we did is the same. Belgrade Design Week is our botanical garden, and all these amazing people that we bring every year from all over the world are our plants, and our idea is that the knowledge that is getting amassed at such an incredible one-off event really stays for the people of Belgrade and for this entire region like some sort of a, I would say, contemporary botanical garden of sorts, if you want to call it that selves. Yeah, we very soon had also to decide how do you create a design week in a country and in a region without actual design industries. So we decided we would go for the total top. We would invite only people who would answer to the claim of being what we call, and this is our slogan now a little bit, the greatest creative minds of the 21st century. So we looked around, we took a look how the most famous and the most professional conferences around the world look like, from TED to the London Design Festival that was founded more or less in the same time like us, the venerable Cannes Lions, the Salon in Milan, and so on and so on. So we said, okay, let's make a combination. Let us not be fach idiots. Let's invite the best from the advertising world, the best from architecture, the best from design, the best entrepreneurs. And we always have at least 25–30% of innovators and entrepreneurs. And let's create a very, very unique proposition that more or less no other creative conference like that has in the world. And here comes some numbers, just to keep in line with other design weeks that you may have heard of. The number I wanted to start with is not on this slide. It's the annual media value of over 2 million euros. Belgrade Design Week creates 2 million euros media value around the world, which is combined more than the 3 or 4 or 5 most famous Belgrade festivals like Fest, Bitev, Belet, and so on and so on. Why? Because it is so fresh, it is so different that the top leading global media, at least 20, 25 each of them each year, next to 150 accredited local international journalists, come over and have a really thorough investigation and reporting from it. You can see the numbers here better than me explaining it. So it is very clear from us. Our mission is to produce one gripping annual meeting point of global creative leaders with Serbia, with a non-porous international design conference as centerpiece, and at the same time to introduce the entire Serbian and South European creative scene to them. So it is amazing what kind of connections we created in the past 10 years, and it is absolutely amazing how these things are being developed today. This is a bit about our festival segments from last year. We have something preceding the conference which is called Design Labs. Those are the workshops. After the conference we have a thing called Design Premieres all over the city, where studios are opening, showrooms are opening, galleries, vernissages. And then during the nights between like 10 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the morning, we have our notorious design nights. And all of them together were attracting maybe 20–30,000 people. And more than that, we have like 200, 300, 500 top leading creatives from all over the world who, out of some reason inexplicable to me, have decided to join us in Belgrade. Additional to the conference, and respectful to economic realities, meaning whenever we can get some support, we continue to develop our next point, which is actually to have a 365 days a year, one point meeting facility, that we edit newsletters, that we create a portal, that we create events like Kačakuća nights and something like that, to actually keep in a good training, in good shape, those creative minds here here in Belgrade in Serbia. Our mission, very simply put at the end, is to convert lecturers to ambassadors of Belgrade, of Serbia, of Southeast Europe, visitors to members, and everyone to a loyal supporter at the end of the day. We create so many effective new tools. We have movies, we have TV chronicles, we have a super blog, we have seminars, we have roundtables. We have, for example, dedicated seminars, at least 3 or 4 a year. And our final goal would be to open a permanent regional design museum in Belgrade. Our biggest, I would say, off-the-conference project this year is opening a dedicated design library in the National Library of Serbia. And we have already started because out of the 300 alumni that were speakers and lecturers at Belgrade Design Week, approximately 10% are publishers. So each one of them is giving 20, 30, 50, 100 books. And I would say until the next Belgrade Design Week in June, we will have at least 1,000 books to really, for the first time, formally open a design library at the National Library of Serbia. This has never happened before, and we're very proud of this idea. Belgrade Design Week exists to be the bridge between the creative industries and the business world. And we are also, last but not least, a serious connection between our famously passionate audience and all these leading global creative minds who, when they come to Belgrade, they also have the opportunity to say their work. For example, 100% Future Serbia. We brought design to the streets of Belgrade with over 100 shop windows for 150 designers, with a map printed in 100,000 copies, with all the locations in the city center, some windows, some works. Our design nights, very important element if you want to meet one of the most important people in the world at the beer later on. Notorious, but also fun. We have a great music program. We brought Yellow for the first, I mean, who knows, my generation knows what it means after 20 years. It was the first concert of Yellow ever after 20 years. And stuff like that. We really have some beautiful memories to exchange. And then we have those design premieres I talked about, vernissages and presentations of showrooms and galleries all over the city. We have our own co-produced about 10 exhibitions each year. Last year, this is how it looked like in just one of the stalls at the National Library of Serbia, or in galleries all around the city. We also do it in showrooms of our partners and supporters. And I was talking earlier about design labs. Those are free entry workshops for students and professionals being given for free by top professionals from all over the world. It's literally amazing what kind of work is being done there, and they're also very much amazed with the feedback of people. We get people from Mexico, from America, from Scandinavia, who are actually joining our workshops just to be able to learn from free, from the brightest minds from all over the world. This is, for example, how a typical Belgrade Design Week lecture looks like, with 500, 1,000 people, completely sold out each year. And we are asking them also a very important question. And here is, for example, one question we asked them about the meaning of design.
Design's everywhere. It's everywhere. You know, you think politics is everywhere. That's not true. Politics is just in a few places. But design is everywhere. From the morning you wake up, you take a toothbrush, you take a glass of water, you open the door of your house, your blanket, everything's designed by someone in the world. Everything.
We're very conceptually driven, very much about ideas. But you know, before we go and do anything, it's you know, a large part of our process is just figuring out what's the right strategy, what's the right creative approach. How should we structure things? What technology should we use? So our work, when people see our work, they often just think it's very spontaneous, but that's actually so much behind it.
Paul was also voted the Entrepreneur of the Year in Britain. Somebody asked me earlier about IDEO. This is the guy from IDEO.
svaki put ja mislim da donese jedan ovaj politiku ovih igra.
I've never made covers about music. I have never made catalogues strictly about fashion. The thing that I was interested in was, in a way, like a more holistic understanding of modern life. And that, to me, the music that was around was in a soundtrack to everyday life.
Belgrade Design Week is probably one of the most important events we've got right now for rebranding Serbia in the eyes of the world.
I mean, this whole thing about design and art is it's too difficult to go into. They're different things. They're very, very different things. You know, the irony, there's a lot of conversation these days about convergence. There's a kind of fuzzy zone between all of the disciplines at the moment where everything sort of seems to be the same. But all of the disciplines have a very hard center, and they're not the same.
So it's art that lifts our daily experience that makes it all much more exciting. And we live in a time when greater art is being done than ever before, so we are all very, very privileged to be able to live in these times.
The last image you've seen was the famous Simon de Pury, the owner of one of the most important auction houses in the world, Philips de Pury, and he came back just for one day. He came in with his private plane just for one day to Belgrade, and he did not only wanted to have a lecture, but he also insisted to show Belgrade his DJing skills. And we had a fantastic party DJed by Simon de Pury. That's a very unique feature you can have in the world. Yeah, and what you see behind me now is actually what I tried to touch base with earlier. It's definitely the most important aspect of Belgrade Design Week. The global greatest minds of the 21st century who meet each year in Belgrade at Belgrade Design Week. You see people like Daniel Libeskind, like Konstantin Grčić on the photo, Natalie Krasset. If you ask me why they come, why they choose to come to Belgrade out of the 80 cities that have design weeks exactly that week, I have no idea. But here they are. To most of them, the participation at the Belgrade Design Week was in the same time their very first visit to Belgrade, to Serbia, and very often to the whole Southeast European region of 100 million people. And it's also a very unique chance for our local and all the regional creatives and professionals to get introduced to their work, to show them their own portfolios. And to exchange those ideas live, basically from first row. So here you have people like Ross Lavro, like Paola Antonelli, Tony Chambers, Mario Nani, Jaime Jayon, Luigi Colani, Gaetano Pesce, Jack Engels, from over 50 countries from all over the world. And it's literally amazing, amazing what they do. And let's not forget that we are at an investment conference here tonight. The gentleman in the middle, Daniel Libeskind, came to Belgrade for the first time ever to speak to Belgrade Design Week. On the next day, he was introduced to the owners of the Port of Belgrade, and he walked away with a $2 million commission to design the new urban project for the Port of Belgrade. Zaha Hadid is today designing the Beko project in Belgrade. We also brought him here 3 years ago. Rem Koolhaas is collaborating with the Enego project, Urbanism, on some new projects around the world right now, since they met at a dinner in Belgrade. So it's really, I would say we are very proud of this kind of connections that we forged, and I believe as we speak now, they're, after 10 years of our work, blossoming all over the world, from more than 1,000 volunteers and students who had some sort of possibility to get their practices in many studios abroad to really some of the most expensive creative deals that this country has ever seen, that were basically brokered at Belgrade Design Week. And mostly not to our knowledge, we have nothing to do with that part, but we are happy that we brought these people together. And do we even need to add that we got Karim Rashid married in Belgrade? Yes, he came in here for the first time ever, fell in love, got married, and now he's Srpski Zet. So basically, that's Belgrade Design Week as well. And wallpaper. Here you have Tony Chambers from Wallpaper. After being deeply submerged into the Belgrade design scene by us, they voted Square 9 to be the business hotel of the year in the whole world, mind you. So I'm asking, what kind of an achievement is that? Where else is Serbia #1 in business, in anything else in the world, besides the beauty of our ladies, their smartness, and our sports people? Basically, do I need to tell that we get no support from the state government? No? Okay, you can easily, I believe that they are somehow disturbed by this kind of developments. But basically, as I told you, it's very important that we bring these people for the first time ever to this region. We're not even concerned or concentrated on Belgrade and Serbia only. These people are professional, multiple dwellers of Paris, London, Tokyo, now Beijing and Shanghai, and that's it, and New York. They really have no time to actually believe that there is anything happened aside from this very known territory of this really top league of global creatives. Since 10 years, now they do believe it, and they actually appreciate it, and they like it very much. As you can see in the pictures, we even have an award, and so on and so on. But it works also vice versa. It's a unique chance for local designers. It's a unique chance for everybody who wants to participate, because Belgrade Design Week is an open platform. Whoever wants to open his studio, whoever wants to present his portfolio coming from the Southeast European region, we are inviting him. There are competitions that we organize, like 100% Future Serbia, but also there are dedicated roundabouts where people are actually visiting open studios and stuff like that. This is what we do, and in the same time, we always ask them questions from the beginning of our presentations, key questions for our lives and developments, like the meaning of design that you saw before, and we also ask them, what's the future of design? The role of design is actually to improve quality of life, and in especially challenging economic times like today, it can show people a completely different way. Through innovation and creativity, we can find tangible new solutions to everyday problems. Encouraging healthy lifestyles, adapting to environmental challenges, promoting economic growth, and solving social issues. They all require one and the same thing, innovation and creativity. So we asked them, what about the future? Designing for the future is really essential if we are to meet the challenges of an aging population in Serbia, for example, of total environmental change as we see it, and of economic uncertainty. For that, we are the world champions for sure. Let us see a couple of answers we got from our guests.
Try to predict the future, because you can look a bit stupid sometimes, but I think it's really obvious that we're going to be seeing a lot more location-based art experiences. In the last 2 quarters, actually, we've had this really interesting statistic where more smartphones have been shipping from the factories in China and where they're being made than PCs. The PC era is over.
I don't think anybody can accurately predict what's going to happen, but it's pretty clear that nobody really knows what they're doing at the moment. There's some pretty difficult decisions having to be made, and at least with Mother, we're independently owned, we're nimble enough to be able to make decisions about how we want to progress forward, and we've got a clear idea of what we want to do in the future as well.
Our media is constantly changing. We have to keep jako važan događaj za Beograd, za Srbiju. Za sve radovne ljude on je na neki način mesto gde dolaze po inspiraciju, gde dolaze po jedan delić najbolje prakse onoga što rade kreativci širom planete, bilo da su u pitanju marketinški profesionalci, bilo da su u pitanju dizajneri i arhitekti.
We continuously update and check and remain in connection where everybody else is moving. Continuously looking at which project, which people we can feed in better. And that's this kind of urban environment that we're talking about, this kind of high density intensification of...
I hope you understand German English.
And to make that happen, we have to articulate and order this complexity.
Nekako smatram da imamo zajedničko to da svi verujemo to da je kultura umetnost ono što je u principu predstavlja budućnost.
The idea that we are a service society, that we don't actually, we're getting like digital society or something, we disagree because everything is still being built, it's just not being built here anymore, it's built.
Yeah, I mean, there's no such thing as virtual. Every time you click a mouse, there's a power plant somewhere making power to go to that. It's consuming real things in the real world, which is, I'm not trying to make a kind of eco point about that. I'm just trying to say that actually everything comes down to physicality, and it's not a post-industrial world at all. But like Martin said, all the industrial stuff has simply been, we've developed it to a sophisticated enough level that we can push it away from us.
And the next generation of water bottles will be, they won't look like that. Because we can't afford to make things like that. They will be brown, off-white, grungy. And I wonder what we'll think drinking out of something that's brown, white, and grungy. Because we shouldn't be using these types of noble virgin polymers for silly things. We should be saving that for medical packaging of blood and very essential items in life.
I think that gave you a fair idea about what people are thinking about the future. I apologize for the quality of the sound, but sometimes this is what happens. So how do we address all these questions through Belgrade Design Week? Okay, here's a typical program. This is how a typical program week looks like. As you see, it's packed. I mean, we usually honestly give an advice to people to take a week off. And people who are actually coming to Belgrade for these purposes are listening to us more than our own people here in Belgrade. They're literally looking forward and reserving their vacations. And I hope we're also helping the city tourism in that respect, because we fill a couple of hotels with a couple of hundred of people staying over. It's going on from Sunday to Sunday, basically, and the very vertical integration is very important, because during the morning you have workshops for the, I would say, the youngest people. Then you have in the afternoon the conference for the professionals. Then if you missed anybody of the great superstars to present your work or to ask him something, you can either meet him at the design premieres, which is more or less formal, still event, very often hosted by embassies, by cultural institutions, and so on and so on. But if you want to be totally informal, if you want to be totally relaxed, you can meet him at the design nights later on and, drink a beer together and literally ask whatever you want. The secret of Belgrade Design Week, of course, is its multidisciplinarity. You saw in the movies already, which I forgot to say, we have produced with the kind support of the British Council, and I will show you 4 of them tonight. We have a total multidisciplinarity. We have architects, designers, advertisers, branding, music, film, fashion, education, publishing, digital media, culture, and most important, entrepreneurs, venture investment people who have created absolutely new brands and new projects out of nothing. We find them, we search all over the world for 1 year. We try to create a very strong topic, and you will see that how the topic also looks like. So you need, basically the secret of this kind of success is strong works, strong speakers, exhibitions, strong topics, and a very strong identity. I will run very fast through how that looked like in the last couple of years to make you understand how development looks like, from change squared to modern squared, to speed squared, smart squared, future. Last year it was freedom. And the other thing, the B thing, is experience. Experience is not a product. The key to understanding the specifics of event branding is to accept the intangible deliverables. That's the final outcome of this process. People do not visit festivals or conferences for satisfying any physical needs. They go for creative experience, for education, for social networking, for the spiritual and for the intangible, which is always subjective. But they all have one thing in common. They go for experience. For example, what's the function of design? And I should keep it shorter.
What you can do with the technology around you. It's the possibility and how far you can jump with it. So what we thought we'd do is we would do not 1,000 slides, but 10, because obviously we have people behind us and that would just be rude.
Some of it will make sense to you, some of it won't make sense, some of it will be truth, mostly it will be lies.
Shall I buy it now or shall I buy it later? Shall I buy this one? Shall I?
Belgrade Dynamic je veoma značajan događaj u oblasti creative industries u Evropi. I veoma dobra je to prilika za naše kompanije, za naše ljude koji se interesuju za ovu oblast, da vide šta se dešava ne samo u Srbiji, a također u drugim zemljama ovog regiona i u Evropi.
The agency's always had at the heart of its belief about advertising that you need to admit that you don't know anything, that it's really can be creatively very useful to have a very open mind, not to always have a solution which is pre-made, but to look at each brand, each challenge, you know, from the point of view of somebody who knows nothing. So we have a motto in London: every day we walk in stupid.
Because we need to go faster. I just want to tell you that Belgrade Design Week has two distinct key target audiences: the professionals, from one side, professionals in the creative industries, and from the other side, the general public. What we really want is that my mother is interested in design as well, but of course we're not losing the very, very sharp professional focus. Each audience has a separate motivational structure, and they all come in together in one idea, which is our ultimate tagline: the greatest creative minds of the 21st century. But if you take a look at the brand wheel, the brand essence is that we are the most exciting creative conference in the world. That makes us completely different. We have a very true brand experience to our brand essence, which is we cover all possible 5 sensations at such an event. We have the conference for show and tell, we have the exhibitions for touch and feel, we have all the vernissages, VIP dinners, round tables, panels to watch and meet, we have the learn and work aspect with the workshops, and finally we have also opportunity to relax and celebrate with the design nights. So every single element of Belgrade Design Week has actually in its DNA all the 5 elements, but also they are distinct and separate from each other. At the end of the day, the secret of Belgrade Design Week is the good story. So why do many world-leading media, opinion makers and professionals think that we are so special? First of all, we have to thank Belgrade. Belgrade and its people, it's a city of great festival culture and of equally great festival expectations, nurtured in the golden age of socialism when Belgrade has one of the best theater festivals in the world, one of the best film festivals, and so on and so on. So people here really know how to react. In the same time, we at Belgrade Design Week, we don't want to predict these reactions. We want to provide the framework only, the inspiration, and we want to let everything flow from there on as organic as possible. Perhaps this is the key difference between us and other global festivals, because after leaving behind all those logisticals and financial aspects, the whole know-how around the chemistry of the festival is taking care of one question: is everybody getting the proverbial buzz from the excitement or not? So to round it up, these are our final slides. The lead theme in 2013 is Innovation Squared. Why innovation? Because the sum of social issues we're facing in this historical moment, from environmental challenges to economic crisis, requires creativity and innovation. We need to design, we need to use design as the driving force for growth, and we really need to establish a knowledge-based economy. We need to redefine the current economic model, not only in Serbia, but all over the world. We need to create a more direct relation between investment and innovation. And design is the bridge that will actually connect these two worlds. Entrepreneurs and creatives both have to learn better how to transform a great idea into something that can be taken to market and yet not lose its soul, its artistic value and the impact. We're talking about the whole economy because knowledge-intensive industries range from information and communication technologies to advertising, architecture, from universities to hospitals to building engines, whatever, it's the same thing. And design is a classic knowledge-based industry. Design has been there before, 100 years before, and has a lot to tell and a lot to share to all these big industrial boys. And design is for sure the biggest potential source of intangible value we have right now. It's very simple that the European Union, it's a logical conclusion that the entire European Union is falling back to design as an option to get out of the crisis. Numerous strategies, which we are thankfully also part of as members of BIDA, the Bureau of European Design Associations, are speaking in that behalf. So what's happening here? We would like design to become an integral part of the new innovation ecosystem also in Serbia and Southeast Europe. We need to adapt this coming decade, which will be a totally decade of design and creativity, because in the future we will become more and more dependent on knowledge-intensive sectors. This is why I want to show you last movie. Do I still have time, or can I just switch on? No, I don't want to, okay. The last movie was about the culture of design, but I agreed we can switch to it and go straight to the end. This is a very important sign that I would like you to remember. In 2013, Belgrade Design Week will have an incredible paradigm shift. If we succeed, we'll become for the first time ever members of the World Design Festival. This is actually the logo, the signia of the World Design Festival. We have absolutely amazing also partnership deals. Here are ladies who are actually having fantastic booklets for you, and who also you can talk details with them if you're interested. But what is really happening is so exciting. In 2013, the world, responding to these changes and to this growing importance of design, is going to have, and this is very great news here for the first time, is going to have the first ever premiered edition of the World Design Festival, and we hope it's going to be in Belgrade. From the 2nd to the 9th June, yes, you heard it right, the first ever World Design Festival will be staged, hopefully in Belgrade, if we succeed into creating this really wide front of everybody who needs to support it. We're working on it this day. On these days, we will have almost 10 days of exhibition, 3 key international congresses, live broadcasts to leading global web portals like Wallpaper. We tried it last year and now we're finally ready. We have the famous European Design Award as the closing ceremony here in Belgrade. And we hope, in a unique form of public-private partnership that we're proposing to the government and to the municipality of Belgrade, we are actually going to succeed. And later on, from 2014, the World Design Festival is moving to New York, to Eindhoven, to Zurich, to Vienna, and so on and so on. But for us, it's very important to here have stated the message now publicly for the first time. You are all invited to see you at the World Design Festival in Belgrade in June 2013. Thank you very much.